Morning. It's Saturday, January 2nd. And this morning I want to talk about all of the misleading information that has been put out by the Trump acolytes with respect to the voting counts. First, I get a note from one of the acolytes that 130% of the Democrats voted in Arizona. Well, I doubt that very much. And I see no proof to any of these accusations. Who knows what is truly going on in the minds of these people? Did he really see any figures like that, or just somebody told him 130%? And then another one of the naysayers said that U.S. President-elect, at least he called him President-elect, Joe Biden won millions more votes than there are eligible voters in the 2020 election. Is he saying that there's less than 81 million eligible voters in the United States? He's got to be an asshole. If Trump got 75 million voters and Biden got 81 million voters, then there's got to be at least 155 million voters in the country. So these guys put these things out, and we have people who read them and believe them. And this essentially is the curse of the internet, because people can put things out there and nobody's checking what they're putting out there. And then you have people who think if it's on the internet, it's got to be true. Well, most of it is probably not true. In fact, when I grew up, I was warned. This was the warning that my parents gave me. Only believe 75% of what you see, because the mind is very fickle. And only believe about 50% of what you read, because people have a tendency to make things up and you can't trust everybody. And only believe about 25% of what you hear, because by the time you've heard it, it has probably gone through several different iterations. So when I see more than one post about the voting frauds and the voting numbers, I know they're all bullshit, because none of them are offering up the same story. So who's telling the truth? So you have more than one person spouting this false narrative, not doing the math, and certainly not doing their homework. I bet these people don't even realize that we have 335 million people living in this country right now. Then you got some guy called MSM fact checking. Well, I don't know what the MSN means. Probably stands for moronic, simply moronic. In any event, this guy claims there's 213,799 485 million registered voters in the United States in 2020. And therefore, by doing a calculation of 60% of that number, blah, 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 means that only 133 million people are registered voters who voted. There's quite often a confusion between eligible voters and registered voters. An eligible voter has all the qualifications to vote, but they haven't registered. So if you haven't registered, you can't vote. So these people from MSM, fact-checking, claimed there were about 212 million people registered to vote. And the other guy said there were only 133 million registered to vote. In reality, there were 158 million people registered to vote in the 2020 election. And that was a database compiled by the University of Florida Political Science Department. And the project is one of the most trusted sources of such information as of this report. And the U.S. Census Bureau hasn't really released anything yet. So if you're looking at the way people look at who's voting and interpret in their mind the simple mathematics of it, well, maybe the math is simple, but if the numbers are wrong, then the results are going to be wrong. And since we have two right-wing organizations that are pro-Trump spouting this stuff to a bunch of people who believe anything, then you're going to find out that you're wrong all the time. There's another crazy thing about these complaints, these these stories, these ideas that these guys are throwing about. If there's X number of registered voters, and Biden got 81 million of them, and they're claiming that's wrong, and he couldn't have possibly gotten that many, well, the same thing holds true for Trump. Trump got 75 million. You're telling me that if the numbers are wrong, that Trump's numbers are right, but only Biden's numbers are wrong. That doesn't make any sense at all. So we're listening to people who have it in their mind that Biden won this election for whatever reason unfairly. And there are extra votes in here. Extra ballots, millions of extra ballots. Do you honestly believe that? And this business with the computer system, the Dominion system, which 28 states used, but the only ones that were challenged was the battleground state of Michigan. Does that make any sense to you? If the system is screwed up, it's screwed up all over the country. So only the red states were pure and clean. So you've got two conflicting conclusions. This one guy is saying there's 212 million people divided by 66%, and he determines that 140 million people submitted ballots, and therefore if Trump got 74 million people, then the only thing that Biden could get is 66 million. So you're telling me that the 212 and the 62% and the numbers only equal to what that is, and Trump didn't lose anything. All of his votes are valid, right? So Biden couldn't have gotten 81 million. And the other guy says there's 133 million people who are eligible to vote. See, eligible, not registered, eligible. And of that, Trump got 74 million. Clean, nothing wrong with the 74 million. Therefore, Biden could have only got 59 million, and he cheated. In reality, there's 239 million people in this country eligible to vote, and roughly 66% of them submitted ballots for Biden or Trump, totaling 158 million, right? And that's the real number. Of that sum, Trump received 74 million. And third-party candidates, see, they forget about the third-party candidates and the independents and people like that. They got 3 million votes. So the reason that Trump lost the election is because of the third-party candidates, right? Those votes belong to him. And if you believe all of this circular logic, then I feel very sorry for you. So I'm finished this morning, and in the words of the fact-checking people, all of those claims were false. I leave you with that, and I will see you in the morning. Bye.